Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
My amendment is very simple. It prohibits the Air Force from making changes in fiscal year 2014 until 60 days after Congress hears from the Commission we established a report on the global structure of the Air Force. Over the last 2 years, Congress and the Air Force have engaged in numerous discussions about the future of our forces. I've had an opportunity to engage in many of those conversations about what the Air Force can afford, what provides us the greatest capability, and what ensures that our men and women get home safely. These discussions have included decisions the Air Force has made regarding the realignment of forces. Some of these decisions made a lot of sense. Some of them did not. But as we've had these conversations, as these decisions are being made, I can't help but feel like I'm listening to the Air Force play the same broken record over and over again. Because what I see happening, Mr. Chairman, is the Air Force continues to talk about cutting costs. They talk about mission capabilities and readiness. And then they turn around and spend millions upon millions of dollars rebasing planes and uprooting personnel all over the nation, only to reevaluate and move them again just a few years later. And in the end, it seems like the Air Force isn't making smart financial decisions. And some of these moves don't even make sense from a mission perspective. Last year, my colleagues and I addressed some of these issues during the National Defense Authorization Act process. We included language in the House version of the bill that would have stopped movement of some of these planes until the Air Force could provide better answers for their decisions. I was disappointed that the final version of the bill omitted this amendment. Instead, the final bill established a national commission on the structure of the Air Force for the very purpose of reevaluating these basing decisions and reporting back to Congress. Specifically, we're looking for that commission to tell us if or how the current Air Force structure should be modified to best fulfill mission requirements in a manner that is consistent with our available and limited resources. The commission was also given several considerations to keep in mind while completing this study. They wanted to ensure that structure meets current and anticipated requirements of the combatant commands, achieve the appropriate balance between active duty Air Force and reserve components, provide sufficient numbers of active Air Force to ensure we can recruit from the pool for reserve components, and make sure we maintain an adequate peacetime rotation force. I'm encouraged by the formation and the progress of this Air Force Commission in last year's NDAA. In fact, I went and testified before this commission earlier this afternoon. I think they have some valuable contributions to make in these discussions. But I'm still disappointed that the Air Force is still determined to enact those questionable decisions before hearing from the Commission. If this body doesn't act, those decisions will go into effect in October of this year, moving hundreds of planes, uprooting families, transferring units, modifying missions, spending millions of dollars, possibly to rethink it all and rebase again in a few short years. Yet the Commission's report is only a few short months away. Am I the only one who thinks this doesn't make much sense? We are making bold decisions on the structure of the Air Force without waiting for the recommendations of the study that we mandated. This is a plain as day example of putting the cart before the horse. My amendment would simply call for a temporary freeze on Air Force movements until we can review the findings of the report. I feel like this is a pretty reasonable amendment given that we asked for the study in the first place. At a time when our military is already under incredible strain, when budgets are already tight, it is imperative that we get this right. My amendment may even save us money in the long run. I ask that my colleagues support this amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman